Hello and welcome back. It's 5 a.m. and I'm grabbing a coffee. I really need a coffee. It's really early for me. So the reason I'm up is I'm going surfing. I need a surf. I want to surf, and the best conditions for me in the next few days are now. I've got sticks to do, I've got chores to do, and I have an impending storm coming, which means I won't be able to do any of my straightening. So my back is against the wall and it's beginning to stack up all against me, and things are turning into a rush. I am also needed at home when everybody gets out of bed. It is a school holiday, so they are not in any rush. So I really have no option. This is my time, and I'm prepared to get up to make it work for me. Now, many years ago, I worked in a factory where I actually started at 5 a.m. and if I wasn't working there, I would be down the coast and actually in the water by now. So in reality, even though this isn't the norm for me now, it was something I was quite acquainted to years ago. Now the coffee's beginning to kick in and I'm feeling a lot more energetic, so I'm loading up and I'm getting on with the very few chores I have to do before I disappear. Like I said, I'll be home before there's any real activity in my house. Some people might say it's a waste of my time going down the coast just for a very quick surf, but it's something like, if I do not do it, I never will do it and probably won't go surfing. I have to fit it around my whole life. And even though I'm loading up now, in the back of my mind, I do know I have a raft of jobs and I've got to get those sticks straightened. Now there's a long hill out of my village to hit one of the main roads, and as you go over the top, this is what you're greeted with. The start of a new day, and it is absolutely gorgeous, beautiful, and it's really starting to make you feel like, let's get going, let's start this day. Now I'm about to pull into the car park by the coast, and this is at Widmouth, but to most locals or people who know the area well, it's simply known as Widdy. Well, there's bright blue skies, the sun is really starting to come up, and I'm feeling really excited. I've been looking forward to this, and I've been visualising me riding these waves. It's not big, it is clean, and it's going to provide me with a lot of fun. So it's just after 6 and the dawn patrol, the guys who are up first light, who I would have been one of them years ago, they're already in and they're coming to an end with their session. I'm midway between those and the people that will arrive afterwards for an early morning surf. Now I already know this is going to be a good day, but looking at the waves and the conditions in front of me, this is better than what I needed and expected. And I can even see a few people that I already know that are in the water and in the car park getting ready to go out. Now this is high tide and there's enough waves to go around for everybody in the water. Within another few hours it will be packed with holiday makers, mums, dads, kids, uncles, aunts, everybody enjoying themselves in the sea and wanting a slice of the action. So this is probably the best time to get a wave if you want a wave to yourself. At this time of the morning you'll get dog walkers, runners and people using the beach and the outdoors for exercising purposes, and you can't blame them. It's absolutely glorious, and to look out to that sea, it is really calming. Now I still get that same excitement as when I first started surfing, just by looking at it in the anticipation of going in. Surfing has actually helped me through a lot of difficult periods and moments in my life, and it's been a constant, and I'm hoping it always will be. You can find age groups represented right the way through the surfing community now, and it's not unusual for me to be sharing the water with, young kids all the way up to guys in their 70s and 80s. It really is that inclusive. Now I did promise myself this year I would be back in the water more than I was for the last few years, but that hasn't happened, so I think I'm going to have to console myself with the fact there's always next year, and I'll make sure I definitely get in more. So even though as I walk down here I may look like I don't have a care in the world, in the back of my head I do know I have those sticks to do, and those bright blue skies will disappear. There is a storm coming. So I got about 40 minutes and I really gave everything to that surf, and I got some real good rides. I feel good enough now to go home in the back of my mind knowing I've had a good session, and that will get me through a good few more days to come. And a friend who's in his late 60s takes off on a wave and you'll see him ride pretty much to the shore. He's just been around here for what feels like forever. So I'm back to Launceston now, or as the locals would call it, Launceston. Now I'm feeling pretty hungry and I've got a bit of urgency now to get home. Launceston can be a bit of a nightmare to actually get through with traffic. Some people will even use the term Launceston, home of the traffic jam. It has got worse progressively as each year passes. Now Launceston is my hometown, so I've got a little bit of affection for it, but funnily enough it is held mostly in my mind for what it was. It is now drastically altered from the Launceston that I grew up and knew. Now that could be said for a lot of the small towns in Cornwall which have had to modernise and have their infrastructure updated and had new commercial industrial estates built and housing estates built. The town has multiplied in size dramatically. So I'm moving up through Newport and I'm going to be heading out of town, but I've got a fantastic view of Launceston Castle, and to be honest there are a lot of good places or vantage points in Launceston. You can see Launceston Castle on the skyline. It's just basically the feature of the town. Now the town square did actually die a death when the supermarkets and the commercial retail estates opened up on the outskirts of Launceston, and that has been mirrored right the way through Cornwall, Devon, the southwest, and indeed the whole country. It's just a common theme, and the town square has done a lot to try and invigorate and get people back in, but it isn't the same as it used to be. That is where people used to meet, greet, and it was a hub, and it was full of people, full of life. Now these narrow streets and back roads through the town centre, and indeed some parts of the town, they can be an absolute nightmare if for the heavy goods vehicle driver or large van driver, or any large vehicle to be absolutely honest with you. When you come face to face with the arch like this, you know you could be heading for trouble. Now Launceston has a lot of places you can actually drink, pubs, or it did have quite a few actually, and there's two just opposite this archway. And yes, in my youth you could have found me with the crowds having a drink and staggering around, going from pub to pub, and then trying to work out how I was getting home. So it hasn't taken me long to get home from Launceston, and now I'm straight back into the chores. I know I've got to get these chores done. There is a storm coming. The bright blue skies are really deceptive, and I know I've got to get my chores done before I can start straightening these sticks. It's an absolute priority. I've got no stock left I can work and make any hiking sticks for customers, so my back really is against the wall. Now we have a variety of butterfly plants, various different colours, and I love watching all the insects come to them. They absolutely draw every insect and butterfly in like a magnet. Now my hazel trees and elder tree and the blackthorn that I did plant in the hedge to fill a hole, they've all taken, so hopefully I can get rid of those aluminium ladders and it'll be thick enough to stop the dog going out over. We do have some blackberries in the hedge which I've been avoiding cutting, and yet again more butterflies. I keep getting distracted, and as you can see we've got a variety of colours. So this is the view from my office, and I'm going to have a very quick cup of tea before I start. And here I go. First chore, stringing. Now this little electric stringer has done its best, but it really is not man enough for the job I have here. I do have a really hard back edge, and it did actually give up, and I had to put it down and waste another couple hours going to buy a brand new petrol strimmer, which I wasn't too pleased about, but it was a necessity, and this little electric one really isn't man enough for the job. Now my lawn is basically field grass, and because it had got so wet and it was so thick, I couldn't even use a box to pick it up. I just had to cut it. You can see the grass clinging to the wheels. It was pretty much almost jamming the motor up. Well, the fire pit's clean. I've cut some wood. I've started the fire. I've got water boiling. I'm now straightening sticks. This was my main aim, and I know within a few hours I do have a storm coming, and I will not be able to straighten my sticks out here using this method. You can actually hear the steam gurgling inside the pipe. When it's doing that, I know that I have enough heat inside that chamber to start loading my sticks. It takes me about 15 to 20 minutes to get a batch of 4 sticks ready to start straightening, and they will be really supple, and you could almost bend them in double. You can see I've got some sticks there, and I'm beginning to size up and try to cut them roughly to size. Another cup of tea on the go, and you can see I've got 4 already done there, and they're straight as a ruler, they are. That's just how efficient this method is. But like I keep saying, it's not one I can do indoors. And this is how I'm straightening. This is my jig. I've got 3 methods. The pulley method with the wheels. Then I've got the internal bars I can pull against, and I've also got a jack. I do have to keep a ready supply of wood to keep that fire going, and that is actually something which is quite harder than it sounds, because you've got to keep the coals red hot and not just have burning wood. Burning wood is a slow burn which doesn't get that kettle boiling at its absolute most ferocious, so you've got real hot steam. If it's not hot enough, you get kind of like a wet steam, and your sticks will be covered in basically almost like you've just run them over with a tap. Right, I'm getting ready to load. I've put gloves on. I've just touched it and I can feel it is red hot. That plastic gets red hot. You can see the fire pit's got flames really licking around that actual kettle. You can see the steam coming out the end. And I'm loading. I'm loading fast because I want to keep as much steam in there as possible. I've got to be careful though I don't burn or scald myself, because there is hot water and steam. I have said it on my other videos about this system. It is quite dangerous. You have to know what you're doing with it, and be fully aware you're dealing with fire, heat, steam and pressure. And that's what I'm talking about. You really do need coals which will really lick the bottom of that boiling vessel and actually get the water absolutely almost screaming inside that kettle. You hear it really raging inside of it. So while the sticks are cooking off and I'm keeping an eye on the fire so I've got constant steam, I sit and have a cup of coffee. And then it's time to actually start straightening. And this is where it gets serious. Because I'm outdoors, I've got to do this with a bit of urgency. I do not want that stick to cool down. I want it as elastic as it can be. And in a lot of cases, I don't even have to look to the clear skyline. Put the stick to the sky where I look down and I'm gauging where I've got to bend it next. In a lot of cases, I can do pretty much 90% of it just by eye in the jig before I actually have to check it with the sky. All while this is happening, I'm trying not to damage the bark, because quite simply, and I've said it before in my other videos, I try to get the stick to the point where it's in the rack and I have the choice as the stick maker, the shaper, how I want to do it. I don't want to be dictated by a stick because it's been the bark has been damaged, how I'm going to produce that stick. I like to be able to produce a stick through what I can look at it and what I feel it should be. So I always try to keep as much bark intact to give me that option later on when I pick it out of the rack to start shaping. And you can hear the steam, it's gurgling away, and I'm loading up with another 4 pieces. You can see how potentially dangerous this could be, so it requires a lot of care and attention. Now, I do have drain plugs for excess water, steam and pressure built into my system, so all those factors have to be taken into consideration. And as you can see, these sticks are as straight as rulers. It is worth going that extra mile to produce sticks that straight, because it gives you a lot more opportunities when you're actually working it to its final state or how the customer wants it. So that's pretty much the end of this particular day, and I'm bringing it all inside now. It's been outside drying off. The weather's beginning to change already as the clouds are beginning to come in. So I'm pretty much happy that I've got a good stock for me to work. And I'm going to bring the next lot of sticks into this bundle. Incidentally, a lady who's got a shop on Dartmoor did actually contact me on this particular day and said she wants me to supply her walk-in shop on Dartmoor with sticks. So that has given me that extra impetus to actually pull my finger out and start hitting this shaping of these sticks a lot faster than I probably would do otherwise. So even though the day is finished, I've had a fire down here and it's by my bottom hedge, and obviously I've got the woodshed not near it, but I just make sure it's all safe before I go indoors. And there's the odd remnants of 1 or 2 sticks that didn't make the final cut to go into the shed. You can see the clouds in the sky has really come in from what it was when I was surfing. A couple chickens have now started to roost outside. A lot of them will roost outside actually in the summer months. They go in during the winter, but that tells you how late in the day it is. Just one more last look over the hedge. Admire the view and look at those storm clouds coming in. Now I'm taking Bracken for a walk in the morning, and I'm really putting a pace on this lane. Quite simply because if you look into the distance, you can't see nothing. It's a misty, fine rain that has started to come in, and everything is damp and wet. So I'm feeling content. I got a batch of sticks I can now start working and turning into hiking sticks. I got the gazebo to get down before the real high winds start coming in. The kids will be a bit disappointed because they've been in there playing, but it would not survive the winds that we got coming in. There is a full storm coming in off the Atlantic. We've already got the wind and rain, but it would not survive what is due to get, what's due to hit us. So I'm going to just pop down here, check the chickens, have a quick little look around. You can see how wet it is. And there's no way I could have straightened any sticks in these conditions down there. Not with a fire and the method I use. That is why it was such a rush. And it was such a panic to get those sticks done. And I feel really good inside that I've pulled it off. So it's been a pleasure to take you along for 48 hours in the life of a hiking stick maker come surfer. This is Andy from Hidden Valley Footpaths. Take care, stay safe, and I hope to catch you guys out on the trail.